Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we are looking at the Bayonet class light cruiser. This is a small capital ship from Senior Fleet Systems and was used by the Imperial Navy. So, characteristics wise, it's armed with 8 turbo lasers and six laser cannons and 2 tractor beam projectors. They served well as patrol craft and were capable of intercepting small transport craft using the shuttle and planetary probe carrier on board. They were also occasionally used for survey missions. The Bayonet class vessels were used during the early days of the Galactic Empire, and by the time of the Battle of Yavin, they were considered outdated. They remained in use for duties that did not require large or more capable craft, especially in the mid and outer rim territories. So, we get this ship from Operation Elrod. Now, I went through the whole thing a couple times over, and I'm just trying to glance through, and I couldn't find it in there. Otherwise, I was kind of hoping to find it from there. Okay, so trying to find something else on the Bayonet Cruiser. Um, like I said, trying to go through the book and everything else. I just couldn't find any pictures in the book itself of the Bayonet Cruiser, but we do have people that have come out and created what we have here today. Not being exactly certain where they got these from, but it does look like it would be about right. It is a small looking Star Destroyer. Um, Even when we get some of these ships that are really considered outdated and all that, and I think I've said it before, these are ships to, or at least in my mind, that would probably be, instead of just kind of destroyed or whatever haphazardly, moved off into like a reservist fleet or something like that, saying, yeah, well, we could, like it says here, move it out to the outer rim areas that they don't really need large ships, but they do need something there. So that's kind of my viewpoint on the whole thing. Um, there again, you know, uh, I'm not the one that created Star Wars. I'm the one that gets to have fun running around in it for all these years. Okay, so we have the Bayonet Cruiser. It's from Senior Fleet Systems. It's run by primarily the Empire. It is considered a light cruiser at capital scale, and we're roughly about 200 meters long. So it is a smaller ship, and we go from there. It has a crew of 120 plus another 30 gunners. We have about 48 passengers, considering them to be troops, and we have a cargo capacity of 3,500 metric tons. We have about 1 year's of consumables on here, so it is a ship that can sit out there and stay along with a standard fleet. And for the low price of 5 million credits used, or a 2.3 million credits uh, being used, 5 million for brand new. I don't know if I said that correctly or not. Okay, hyperdrive, it is times 1 and a backup of times 10. So that is a pretty respectable backup hyperdrive to get it to go wherever we need it. Of course, we're definitely going to have a nav computer in here. Has a maneuverability of 2D, so that's actually pretty respectable. And a space of 8. So this ship is, for the most part, able to keep up with a lot of the older fighters in that regard. And it seems like that is really what its purpose is to be more on the picket fleet side, where it can try and screen against fighter craft and all that to help try and take care of them. So it looks like it should have a very good capability of doing that. Although once we get into an atmosphere, we are down to about 500 kilometers an hour. So it really lacks on that because of the big shape it is, and it just has to muscle its way through. All right, we do have a hull of 4D, so it is fairly resilient, and shields of 2D plus 2. So shields are a little bit more beefed up, but not the greatest. I mean, the bigger the number, the better, always. Okay, so sensors. Passively, we can scan up to 4 kilometers. Actively, we can scan out to 8 kilometers. We can do a search at 16 kilometers, which is really respectable, and a focus of 600 meters. To date, for all the ships that we've gone through, I do not think that we've had a focus going out that far. So this is actually pretty good. Um, we have 8 heavy turbo lasers. We have 2 in the front, 3 in the left, and 3 in the right. They have a fire control of 2D. These are at capital scale, so keep that in mind. So this is anti-ship weaponry here, and it has a damage of 7D. So this is really going to be able to kind of go toe-to-toe with a lot of the other capital ships. We have 6 laser cannons. Of course, these are still at capital scale. We have 2 in the front, 2 in the left, and 2 in the right. Fire control of 3D. So if we're using these to go against starfighters, remember you're going to lose the 2D for dropping down a scale, so it's only going to be a 1D. Not the best, but not the worst. And our damage is just phenomenal because it's already at 7D, so this would be good, another good weapon for anti-capital ship. But if we hit a regular starfighter with this, that would be a 9D because we bump up a category. So that's really going to be kind of devastating for any fighter that gets hit by this. We have 2 tractor beam projectors. These are in the front. Has a crew of 4, fire control of 2D, and damage of 4D. Now, I don't typically play with the tractor beams all that much. Typically, when I think of tractor beams, I'm thinking of more in the sense of we're grabbing something and we're like bringing a fighter into our craft or whatever else. And you kind of go from that point. But the other things that we can do with a tractor beam, and pirates are doing it where they're grabbing on to asteroids and they're grabbing that and putting it into hyperspace lanes to pull people out of it, or something else. That's why I said before, you can't jump into hyperdrive in an asteroid belt or go through an asteroid belt, because if there's something in the path, your sensors will kick you out of hyperdrive to make sure you don't collide with it. So when we're dealing with, I know in the second, what the heck was it? The Last Jedi. They're skipping through asteroids, which won't work because if there's something in there, you're going to destroy your ship. And the same thing with the Acolyte. When they come out of hyperdrive and they're going in the middle of an asteroid field, whether it's just a simple belt or a system-wide asteroid field that's going through there, it just doesn't work. We need to keep those lanes open, and then they will have ships that go through to do nothing but keep that lane open. That's why we have certain routes that we can go through. Otherwise, you have pirate routes where you have to drop out of hyperdrive and fly through all that, and then you can do a short hyperdrive jump to the next area where it's no longer clear to use hyperspace. So, one of the things I did not see is any listing as to carrying any extra craft. So I will say that this probably does not have anything like that. And being a smaller ship, I will throw this out here because there are a couple things that probably could be done today that was never even done way back then. Because now we have the Light Imperial Transport, I believe is what they were calling it. I know it was done up in Lego. It was done in Star Wars during the Rebels series, which are ships that we really don't get in here. I don't have any of those. Now, it's not saying I won't get them because I do have a website that is very good to go to, and they've been continuing on making a lot of these ships. So I like going to their website if I'm looking for something different or whatever else, and I will sometimes grab ships out of there. And they have been keeping up with all the current Star Wars series and movies and all that stuff that we don't have out of the original books. So I do believe that they have it in there. And we will get to all that stuff in time. Right now I'm just worrying about the book because that way I can kind of cross off which ones we have so I don't do repeats and you guys don't have to listen to me ramble on about a ship that we've already covered. So in that regard, the fact that they actually have like little landing struts or whatever for TIE fighters or other craft, that would be something that I could very easily see them if you were to go back and reimagine this, maybe putting that on there. So just to keep that in mind as we're seeing a wonderful ship like this, that this was done for the role playing game, the old West End Games role playing game. We get to bring this to life. We get to see this, and we can now kind of maybe reimagine by throwing something like that onto there. So um, that would be something that if you as a referee or as a gamer and say, hey, we have this here, and maybe we take over the ship for a pirate organization or whatever, is that a possibility that it could be on there? Or as a referee, like I said, maybe if you want to have them to have 6 TIE fighters or something like that, that they could probably do that. So just throwing that out there. But with that, it's another wonderful ship that we don't typically get to see. Seeing a picture of how they came about doing this, and it does fit because it is a Bayonet class cruiser. Something that looks like a small Star Destroyer does work very good, and I think it fits. So wonderful to bring this to light for so many people that don't even know that this ship exists. And it's another wonderful creation that was done so many years ago before we had all these other movies. So with that, hope you have a wonderful day. We'll see you in the next video.